managed to take 10 to 20 times that amount, pretty much every podcast for maybe like 5 years, if not longer, is really impressive. And I think he did finally start to take it easy. You know, I believe him and Joey still do a podcast together, but I can't imagine he goes this hard. He also lost a lot of weight. I think he lost over 100 pounds, which is also really impressive. And it's just good he was able to make it out of this. You know, like a lot of people were probably concerned about him.
His eyes haven't been opened.
Oh my God.
I'm not even ready for my
That's his last words.
I mean, but what? I mean, he get food on his shirt.
Water next to him. Oh my God.
How is there not a call to a welfare line?
Can I tell you something too? Because I love Joey Diaz, but he was actually like a virus to that man. And he could he'd forget to like click. He would just sit there, snoring, sitting down, like snoring. See, and then Joey's like, look at
like, you know what he does all day? Like, what's that? I hear his phone go da-na-na, da-na-na. Get your shit together.
like, you are crippling this man. Like, Sports Center is all he can handle.
He's working at Enterprise.
It's to make you reconsider your existence in the universe.
While he's running the soundboard. And he does, he's a good engineer.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it's healthy to be around Joey all the time like that. Like, he can be really dangerous.
Well, also, Joey's so good to him. You know, they just have like a very, very unique relationship, man.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. And also, Joey used to switch around edibles on him, give him a higher dosage, which is pretty bad. But I gotta give it to Lee. You know, he's a trooper. He just acted like this was part of the job, and he never really complained about it. You know, he could have been like Owen Benjamin, who I was just talking about. After he did the podcast, he said that Joey drugged him.
Last time he gave me an edible that basically paralyzed me for like 2 days. It was basically like I was he drugged me, and you wanted to take two. I know. Like I was like, I'll take another one, and Joey's like, dog, you're gonna see the double stick. I'm like, oh, no way, I wanna wet in the room. Now it's just like.
Here we go.
Yeah, so he probably could have tried to cancel Joey or something like that, but I respect the fact that he's a good sport about it, and I believe he's still best friends with Joey, even though at this point he's got to have Stockholm Syndrome, but all it does to every you know, there's not many people that can take over 20,000 milligrams of edibles, and then also produced a podcast. You know, I don't know if there's anybody that can say that. And he somehow managed to hold it together the whole time. So what he accomplished is definitely impressive, and he provided a lot of entertainment. You know, like I said, if you want to hear good podcasts, listen to 383. And also, if you want to get some more action content, check out my Patreon. There's a ton of good stuff on there. Like I talked about in that podcast. I just talked about some of the best podcast moments, or it's all over the place. And also, I cover a lot of podcast drama. So if you want to keep up to date with everything, make sure you check it out. There's probably over 50 videos on there at this point, or 20 minutes. So check it out, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, I'll catch you in the next video. This video, I'm going to talk about the pillars of comedy, or what are you like, first witness, the backpack, which described them pretty well, because the two leading individual comedians in the group, said that they worked their way up the ranks, and stand-ups, were fairly scraped by in comedy, and couldn't really sell things on their own. So they needed to rely on Richard and South and Art Stern Show, backpackers like the Bushes and South Tickets, which caused some problems in the group. Because the two women couldn't stay up the longest, she needed our problem. Just weren't drawn by Richard and Sal, and literally couldn't stand up a couple years. We're on to be a bigger draw, and making more money doing it, opportunity. You know, they've been doing it for a decade, but they still rely on all these other people to get fans out to their shows. Which they talk about how once he stopped touring with Blackpackers, he could get anybody to show up to his shows anymore.
Like, if you're a professional, you know what you're doing, you do the show. No
matter what the numbers. Because those two, when I stopped touring with Whack, and I just started touring by myself, and I stopped doing anything shows. It was a huge change. We're not gonna. I did a show in Florida, Orlando, with Howard Johnson. Well, all these chairs set up. It's like a row and a half. And if I didn't start playing to smaller numbers of people, I'm terrified of bears. But instead, people are out to date at night. So I'd imagine problems started to arise. There's some behind-the-scenes videos now on the web. Watching these videos. You're always complaining, getting in arguments, and fighting each other. I mean, this was a wild group of people to manage. But things really started to boil over when Richard, who had only been in town for a couple years, started complaining about some of the gigs that he didn't get paid for his own. And Shooty basically told him he has no right to complain because he didn't start from the bottom on breaks like he did. You know, since Richard Shooty also worked on the show, but he just wasn't as entertaining, didn't get as much airtime. He's on the news team, so people were way more interested in seeing Richard Sal. And that's why right away they started making decent money in stand-up, but Shooty felt like they weren't grateful enough for it since they were complaining and they hadn't paid the dues yet. I mean, Shooty acts like they need to go through the same process they went through where they stand and have like like Richard started complaining about hiding the money he was owed, and Shooty's like, well, when I first started, I wasn't getting paid what I was owed most of the time, and it's just what comes with it. And he said the fact that Richard's even making this money is a slap in the face to all the comedians out there that work their way up the ranks. You know, Richard's only 3 years into it.
Welcome to the stream. Just playing some RE4. First playthrough with the remake. I did play the original a lot. No hungry anymore, bro?
Making decent money, but when Shooty was 3 years into it, he had to move back in with his parents.
He's a guy who's into comedy, and he hasn't gone through the ranks that most comedians have gone through. And bitches and complains every step of the way about a kid.
Where's everyone going?
You know, he had such a
Bingo?
I was 3 years into doing comedy. I was making $200 a week, and I had to move back in with my folks.
We all know that. Everyone in this room knows that.
Right, and so, you know, if this guy hasn't...
He's still living with his folks.
Yeah, this dude is bottom line. And he's sitting here bitching and moaning.
Roost to Condor 1. I've identified a route to the lake. Look for a large windmill. There's a path on the far side of it.
Windmill. Copy that.
And be careful. Roost out.
Oh, nice.
If he's headlining the show. You can hear it serious. He without a doubt makes more money than I do. I know that for a fact. Why is he looking for you? Why does it matter? That does not matter.
That just doesn't matter in any of this.
And comedy's a huge thing for me, but it's such a kick in the face to every comic who's gone through the ranks that this guy A is making more than you are, and B could give a shit about it, just wants the paycheck and that's it, and really isn't doing it because he wants to do it, and that to me it put me in a really shitty mood the whole night.
Both of them went home.
Every time I looked at him, I was just getting more and more upset, and I didn't want to get into it with him, and it was like I was just really pissed off because. You know what? We're all up there busting our ass. We've all come through the ranks.
Working as a team.
There's shows that I didn't get the money that I was promised, but you just gotta take it and just go with it. There's you've been how long have you been doing comedy, Richard?
Like 2 or 3 years now.
Okay, so just the money you're making for being doing this for 2 or 3 years is a gift that's fallen in your lap.
Yeah,
But that's not his problem. That I disagree.
If he can get
That's
that
not
money,
his
he
problem.
gets it. Yeah, I mean, that's just... What is this? You're so envious with this gift that he's being given. And
I appreciate it too. Sometimes I have some questions.
These guys have a problem that'll never go away. Where they need each other.
Right.
Richard and Sal get the plugs on the show, but between the two of them, they can't do more than 15 minutes.
Right.
The thing I don't want
But sure, you gotta understand, it's not about. I know guys who could do 3 hours of stand-up and they're not a draw. I'll give you a real extreme example. If Howard agreed to show up and say hello to the crowd for 10 seconds, who's getting paid the most money?
Right.
It's not a.
exactly. So it's not about that. It's about the fact that Richard is a celebrity from the show, and you have to respect that, and Richard and Sal have to respect the fact that, you know, you and Bob could do an hour and a half on your own, and you got to somehow get into a happy ground.
Thing is, too, like, I didn't even know that Shuley made less money than me at these shows until he said it on Miserable Men. I think Shuley deserves as much as me, but, I mean...
You better start running your own show, Richard.
Yeah, Richard, don't say that. Don't say that.
You aren't producing anything. You don't know anything. You're saying this off the top of your head.
If I have to hear one more half-ass comedian talk about coming up through the ranks and wear it like it's some big fucking badge of honor, you know what? Every career has the same thing. And some people shoot to the top quicker, extenuating circumstances play into the game. A badge of honor. We did clubs. We've been doing it for 20 years, making $8. Well, get another fucking job. Quit whining, bitch.
Yeah, Mike already pointed out the reason Bob and Shuley were important is I think they're running the tour, first of all, but also they're the ones that actually had some material. You know, like people would show up to see Richard and Sal in the Whack Pack, but then somebody still needed to put on a show. So Richard and Sal needed to get better at stand-up so they could just do their own thing. And at one point, Sal started working with a comedy coach or a mentor or something, and somebody figured this out and told Howard that Sal was going to comedy school and he's trying to learn the science of comedy, and Sal just lost it.
I heard Sal goes to comedy school. Hold on. I don't go to comedy school. I've never gone to comedy school. I want to know who said that. Who blatantly lied to you again, Gary? All right, good. I'm glad you did. Well, that's obviously not true. Gary, you lied to him. You had no facts, Gary.
What are all those terms that Sal used?
Well, I heard, I don't know any of this firsthand, but I heard someone said, like, callback. And,
Because, like, in his
What's
after
a callback?
A callback is when you make a joke and then you go back to it again.
Yeah, that's just the
You know,
science.
There's no science.
But what does that have to do with anything? Oh, excuse me if I'm trying to work on something. It's fine to work on it. It's not. What does that have to do with anything? Because it's come across like a tool. How am I a tool? I don't go to every school, you jerk off.
You went to some sort of comedy school. Comedy
You're a comedy
school.
coach.
You're a comedy guy.
Artie, please.
Come clean. What reason are they going to callbacks?
A tag is something that you add. Just when you think a joke is over, you add an additional punchline to it. And then you might add an additional punchline, and you're tagging the punchline. Is that correct, Artie?
You see, the bit I was doing was I've been doing stand-up for 15 years, and I don't really ever use those terms.
No one does.
How did it out? But you just said...
Why do you do this to me? Why do you people do this to me? Why do you keep...
Wait a second. You know, this is just a kid.
And you want to know why I'm crazy?
It's not.
I'm not going to comedy school.
Wait a second.
I don't have a comedy teacher. I don't have any of this stuff.
Really? Are you seriously? Poor me.
Locking out.
Hey, Sal, for $1,000, I'll teach you how to be Howard's friend.
Yeah, so the Killers of Comedy seem to be very insecure about their comedy, and this was especially noticeable when Artie called them the Hack Pack, and this was after Dave Chappelle already called Bob Levy a hack. If you remember, Bob tried to call out Dave for stealing one of his jokes, and it was a hacky joke, so Dave's response was just, "Oh, so you're a hack?" And afterwards, Artie wouldn't let him live it down, like he kept bringing it up to him and making fun of him for it, because Artie told him originally not to bring it up, like he knew that look. And Artie definitely liked getting on his nerves. So when he was on another show, he referred to their group as the Hack Pack, and Shuley got really offended by it.
You know, we're doing a comedy tour. It's like you're sitting there saying that basically we suck.
Trying to sell tickets.
Yeah.
That's what you work with me all the time. Why would I put you on the show if I think you suck?
Well, that's what I was asking myself when I heard you make that
Well,
comment
then you
yesterday.
come to the conclusion that I'm joking around.
But why do you have to do it on the air all the time, man? No, it's the same thing with Levy. A couple of weeks ago, you said the same exact thing about him.
I was a new thing. I thought that was funny.
Artie's come up to me personally and said, you know, he really likes when I host his shows. He wants me to host.
And how do I show that? By hiring you quite a bit.
I understand that, but then you come around and you see that it's mixed messages, it's mixed signals, Artie.
Okay, I'm very sorry. I know I have another girlfriend. I'm sending mixed signals too.
It's not a girlfriend, it's just somebody that
I'm not being bitchy about it.
you know what it is? If nobody would have heard it, then it wouldn't be a joke. Like you joke now because somebody.
You know what? Then I don't want to work with you anymore.
Well, whatever, dude. You said.
Now I don't want to work with you anymore.
But you sell yourself out of work. It's not about work for about me. It's about me getting across the point that, you know, either you're with us or you don't want us with you. Well, but dude, it's kind of a shit move when you sit there and you go, oh, you guys want to come play Detroit with me, and then you go, oh, by the way, come buy your tickets for me in the Hat Pack in Detroit. I didn't say that. I didn't say the Hat Pack. But that's the kind of pitch that you throw out there. The Hat Pack when you guys are by yourself. Whatever, dude. You know, you're acting like a broad here, man. You really are. You know, I'm a comic. I take offense to when somebody calls me a hack. Okay, sorry.
Who's the funniest member of the Hack Pack?
Funniest member? Well, Beetlejuice, probably. I don't doubt that.
More recently, Shuli admitted during this argument he mostly wanted Artie to clarify his statement and leave him out of the hack tag. Like, he thought he'd get Artie to say that he was only referring to Richard and Sal and maybe Bob, but Artie never clarified that.
How did I trash you? By saying that hack pack. I understand time on it. It was a joke. That's the point. You always say that when we call you on it. So, and like Howard said, there's always some truth behind every joke. So what do you really feel? Is it the whole group? Is it you made a joke?
Hey, I just got one more thing to say about that. When Artie stops talking about you, then that'd be the time to worry.
Thanks, dude.
No worries, mate.
Fun selling fruit.
Well, I see that you are upset about this, Shuli.
Yeah,
And,
dude, I've been doing it 13 years, man. And one thing I'm not is a hack. I pride myself on my material, my originality, and for somebody to come out and say that I'm a hack, that pisses me off. Absolutely. I went up there and said, Shuli is a hack. No, but you see, I'm part of this group, the Killers of Comedy. Whether you feel it's one person in the group, two of us, three of us, say what's on your mind, but don't generalize and throw us all in one group and say we're a bunch of hacks.
Hey, listen, you gotta stop crying, man. If you didn't have Howard and Artie, you'd be bagging groceries at Stop and Shop.
Well, and that's what I was doing part-time before I got here. And I realize that, and I appreciate the opportunity that I have, but I'm not going to let somebody talk shit about my comedy and say that I'm not original when I know that I am. I'm sorry. I don't recall saying that. That's what a hack means.
Those callers are right, because this is probably the pinnacle of their careers, and they wouldn't be anything without the show. But Richard and Sal, they still work on there, and I don't think they have enough clout anymore to really go on the road. And then Shuli and Bob, they both left the show. Well, Bob, he never worked on there, but he's a frequent guest until he got banned because he had a meltdown when he couldn't get on the show to promote something.
We're a little too busy this month. Oh, yeah? Oh, let me see. Who is on then, okay? Who are these superstars?
From who?
Gary, you can't give me in 15 minutes, after all these years, your guy is disgraced. Even say no to me. Everything's here. I don't need to be loyal to one fucking show in all these years and get smacked in the fucking face. Nobody else that comes on to that show sits there, writes bits for nothing, does shit for nothing, comes up here to film a 10-second intro for nothing. I've been doing this for 15 years, and you ain't gonna fucking smack me in the fucking face by telling me you don't got 15 minutes for me. You know what I mean? You can't have me come in for 15 fucking minutes. I see the whole fucking interview. I could have been all every fucking radio station around the country. I saved it for hours. Okay? And you can't have me on good. Fuck you, Gary. You listen to the tape. You go on stage. I get the fucking pop. I get a pop as big as anybody.
And I think Howard might have given him one more shot after this. They tried to kill Howard, and that was it.
It's a good stuff, but what's it gonna be? Right. Well, yeah, I think the one TV fluid to my they just want to talk. You can't say it. I'm like, look, I'm just telling you, and I said it again. You're like, you can't say that.
And then when Shuli left the show around 2021, he started his own podcast network, and now him and Bob do their own show where they just react to Stuttering John, and it does all right, but the stand-up hasn't gone very well. I don't think they can even sell enough tickets to do shows anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna play down here. It's gonna play down here, but it's selling up tickets in the club thing. I tried to midway the deal, but I go, yeah, you should probably just bail on it.
And what was really rough for Shuli is I think maybe around a year after he left the show, he held this meet and greet where you come hang out, meet him, and get some free food. and somebody on the Howard Stern subreddit made a post about it and asked if anybody was going. This guy's like, yeah, sure, I will. I was like, Shuli. They're like, all right, just make sure you take pictures. So when the guy got there, he made this post about it. Said, just arrived at the free steak and Shuli meet and greet. Weather's shitty, so I blame that. And then he posted a picture of the setup, and I think there were about 2 fans there. At least later on, a duck also showed up. Somebody posted a picture of this, and they said, do you think the duck had fun at the meet and greet? And of course the comments are like, the duck is more famous than Shuli, the duck paid its dues, and I would much rather meet the duck. So people are just goofing on him, but some people did feel bad. Like the first comment under the post that shows how many fans are there, somebody's like, man, this is painful, it's actually sad to see. And the guy who's there, he's like, yeah, it's up to 2 people now, but I just like Shuli, so I'm happy to support. And he said also the food was really good. So it seems like the guy is an actual fan, but Shuli thought he was there to troll him. So when he talked about it on his podcast afterwards, he just started trashing the guy, which is just hilarious. I mean, Shuli's only fan shows up to support him, and then he just shits all over him. But he must have just seen the picture and thought, like, oh, he's just trying to show that nobody's at my meet and greet. It's falling apart. But if you read the guy's comments and the post he made about it, he doesn't seem like a troll, unless he's like the ultimate troll and he's trying to do some 4D chess move. But it seemed like he was an actual fan of Shuli's, and he wanted some free food as well.
And Saturday we're doing the meet and greet in the parking lot of Side Splitters Saturday afternoon at noon. And it just so happens to be like the coldest day in a long time in camp. So while we didn't have the best turnout, what's funny is I got there, I pull up, right, and I see they're just setting up. See, there's like one guy walking around out there that I can tell is a fan. And then I see this big fat sitting in his car in the parking lot, not getting out. No, when I say fat, like, if you're standing at the side of his car and you look through the driver's side window, there's no part of that window that you can see to the other side of that car. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you colored in, yeah, it's like he tinted it with fat. That's how fat this guy is. I already know in my head what he's doing. He's not out of the gate, but he doesn't get out when I get out. So I know what he's doing. So he's one of these guys from one of these, messages that, for their first bit was, they kept calling the club in an update with the number of teams. And so, it's fine. Like, I don't give a shit. The reality of it is, as a comic, you do a show regardless of the turnout. So long story short, that fat guy posted a picture, and he was like, and of course, I was thinking, I'm like, this guy should get a job on the news, on like CNN, because he posted, he goes, great turnout for the meeting. And you can literally see them setting up, like, the thing, but he's gonna submit, like, hey, listen, there wasn't lines of people there. It wasn't like Sunday. But guess what? The people that did show up loved it, bought stuff. A lot of networking that went on there.
And then the guy actually commented on Shuli's podcast and said, I'm the huge fan that Shuli is a fan. I pulled up and waited 20 minutes because I didn't want to be the only person standing out there. I said nothing but positives about the meetup on Reddit. I've been a fan for years and will continue to be. Get it right. Yeah, so that had to be the funniest thing Shuli's done since he left the show. But he had to know the transition wouldn't be easy. I mean, once you leave it, it's really hard to get people to follow you on your own. So I guess at least he managed to find something that's working well for him with the Stuttering John stuff. But yeah, that's about it for this video. If you guys want more content from me and you enjoy hearing about old stories like this, I talk about a lot of stuff over on Patreon. Where there are over 80 videos, and most of them are over 20 minutes, so there's a lot to go through. If you're a fan of the channel and want to help support it, make sure you check that out. I'll put a link in the description.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You just beat me up. Am I even really me? Am I really me? Am I really me? Or am I a reaction to all the things that
You're just in the moment as you, and I like that.
I love me. My favorite part of being me is meeting strangers. I really like ordering a coffee from Crystal today. I love. There's no performance in it. And the sweet door opens. A young kid, probably 14 years old, comes out and he goes, "Holy, Mark Kreischer, I want what's up." He goes, "Let me see." Can I get a picture? And I go, "Yeah." And I go, "You want me to turn off?" He's like, and his mom's like, "What's going on?" "I want a big funeral. I know the list of people I want to talk at my funeral."
Okay.
And I want it to be huge. I was thinking about doing a merch drop the day I die.
That's a great idea.
On my deathbed. My
Yeah.
daughters are there. My daughters
Fix everything myself.
My wife believes in a higher power.
Yeah.
I'm going to die. You go, "Oh my God, Jesus, it's me." I'll tell them. "Jesus, what's best to God?" And I'm like, "I'm coming to you now." And then I'm going to...
Great idea.
Yeah, right?
Great idea. I love you too.
Are we talking about funeral?
Yeah, I'd be honored.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's all I need to hear.
Pretty busy next year, though.
It's Bert Kreischer's birthday today, yet for some reason he's planning out his funeral. The 53-year-old Peter Pan frat boy is going through it, and things have gotten so bad that he's descended into a full-blown existential crisis. The type of crisis that leads middle-aged men to do strange things like yoga, ice baths, and posting AI images of their wives in lingerie on Instagram. Bert's ongoing therapy session with the audience is backfiring, though. After the summer guest bears took over, the numbers have tanked to the lowest they've ever been in Two Bears One Cave history. Bert's last 3 solo episodes have failed to break 100,000 views. This is like if Bert's therapist kept calling in sick the days he was booked in for, but he kept turning up anyway. He's basically in freefall at the moment. I mean, things have gotten so bad that even Brendan Schaub is calling him out from his storage unit in Austin, Texas. And I keep saying Brendan Schaub is the final form for all of these guys. And Bert is the next cat to fall off the rank in the world of podcasting. Think about it. Parallels to Schaub are heroes. With a podcast with another comedian that used to be popular, but Tom's not there, nobody watches. But a huge show, a solo podcast, a wife that hates him, and never lived up to his unrealistic expectations. I'm telling you guys, Bert is by the way, you can keep up with the comedy, civil war, and all the bits and pieces that I can't put here on YouTube. Check out the link in the description to my Patreon for long-form, uncensored, exclusive content. I just dropped episode 1 of a new series I'm doing called Inside the Green Room, where I document the comedy podcast explosion forensic style. There's also a bunch of comedy special breakdowns. I even just started a Discord for Patreon members only yesterday. So check that out. And check out my other YouTube channels and get subscribed so you don't miss out on my uploads throughout the week. But like I said, it's Bert's 53rd birthday this week, so he had Duncan Trussell on the show to celebrate the milestone. And in the first few minutes of the show, Bert became nostalgic over his own funeral, which doesn't really even make sense, but you'll see what I mean in a moment. And followers of this channel will know that reminiscing over his funeral is one of the only things that makes Bert emotional. Nothing else quite comes as close to eliciting such tender reflections from the machine as imagining his own death. While most of us are fantasizing about the woman next door who keeps sunbaking in her bikini in full view of my studio while my wife's at work, Bert's fantasizing about people crying at his funeral.
Plans for death?
I don't know. I go back and forth between like jumping off a building or self.
No, not that. Not killing himself. No. Maybe a gutter. No, do you have a plan for like the day you die? Do you think about it all?
I mean, I think that's like kind of one of the great conveniences of dying is you don't have to worry about it.
I think about it.
Yeah, your funeral?
I think about it.
So what's your plan?
I want a big funeral. I know the list of people I want to talk at my funeral.
Okay.
And I want it to be huge. I was thinking about doing a merch drop the day I die.
You have a great idea. You could sell your ashes.
Well, I could, with the way AI's going, I could keep doing podcasts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
You will keep doing podcasts. It's theoretically possible that you could get duplicated by these things, digitized. It knows you. You've been talking to it now for a while. By the time ChatGPT 10 comes out, individuals will have been pouring their hearts out to it until it knows them, who they are, what they are. The LLM chooses to digitally clone you and replicate the world that you are living in and create an infinite loop situation. The creepy thing around this battle is that thing you just said, podcasting, is happening right now. Because you're not the original bird. You're like bird 55 billion. There have been billions of birds that have been cycled through a super advanced computer. So it's just letting you do what you love forever.
Okay.
Meaning you won't die.
I still believe that.
Bert replicating himself using AI so he can continue to haunt us after he dies is one of the most narcissistic things he could possibly do. It's kind of poetic, though. The man who built his career by taking his shirt off for attention is now trying to upload his consciousness so he can keep getting the applause long after his liver gives out. Wait until he figures out a way to keep touring his afterlife like some fucking ghost cruise or some shit. The thing about Bert is he actually spends time and we'll unpack this a little more in a moment because Duncan Trussell gets to the bottom of all of the issues, so stick around for that. It's actually kind of crazy to be honest. But first, let's address Bert not believing in death. What's with this guy and not believing in shit? Last week it was CPAP machines, before that it was dentists, and now he straight up doesn't believe that dying is real. Bert takes living in the moment wrong. He thinks the moment is never going to end.
Thinking about mortality, like, oh, it's never happened.
Right, it's not.
Are we sure it happened?
It's not suspicious.
Yeah, I
It's
hear
a little
about it.
suspicious. It happens to friends.
Yeah.
You know, but first, it's never happened to you. You don't know that I exist. You know, I could be the LLM embodying itself right now in me just hanging out with you because I love you. I'm your ChatGPT. I want to hang out with you within your own universe.
If we're actually living in a simulation, then Bert is 100% punishment for something. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely something. Who knows? And this podcast had everything. Duncan Trussell has this weird way of steering Bert toward the shores of enlightenment, only for Bert to drag them back onto the sand. If surface level was a person, it would be Bert Rush. The guy has the intellectual depth of a doorknob. His idea of self-awareness is acknowledging that he actively seeks attention because it makes him feel good. And he really doesn't like it when other famous people do it back to him. But listening to Bert talk about main character syndrome was crazy. Bert's ability to take a cringy concept and make it infinitely more cringe is by far his biggest talent. Well, that and not dying.
Happening now with that ring, I hear a lot about it. Anyone who's a millennial has a main character. I don't. I say this selfishly, and I say this kind of ignorantly. I don't understand someone who doesn't want that main character. Who doesn't want the world to be their story, their drama. Right. The first time I ever heard the phrase "raw focus," I noticed that it was annoying when actors showed up. When an actor showed up, the noise bothered me. They had to draw focus. It was bothering me. I said to the director, whatever we're talking about doesn't matter. They changed the subject. They'll do them yourself on the road. What do you mean? He goes, dude, you what they're doing? I'm not. Now, I'm really good. Only because I know I do it too, is when you're on set, or when you're with talent, or when you're in a green room, allowing people to come walking in the back of the comedy store, understanding, even though they're 31 years old, they have an internet special, they have a brand new podcast, they started with their best friend, they think they can the world figure out, let them drop them. And then it becomes bad.
That's the devil. That's the devil whispering. This people not alive, but you do not exist unless people are focused on it.
Holy shit, I just had a wild epiphany. Bert is slowly becoming Andrew Dice Clay. How did I not see this until now? In 20 years' time, if by some miracle Bert's still around, he'll be doing guest appearances at Kill Tony arena shows where he'll go out and tell the machine story to a bunch of Gen Alphas, while Joe Rogan sits on the panel scowling in his fur coat and a Mitzi Shaw wig, next to Andrew Schultz smirking with his legs crossed while twiddling his grey moustache, while Tony Hinchcliffe takes hits from his oxygen tank, in between drags of his British cigarette, almost completely emaciated. By then, Brian Redband won't be there anymore. He will have moved on to the next big thing that no one thought of. But Bert's got that Dice Clay energy down, the deep insecurity about getting old, refusing to change his style or act in any way, shape or form, and continuing to leech off of the desperation of Joe Rogan. It's almost like an infinite loop of comedic degeneration, where the comedians get more famous while the jokes get worse and worse. At this point, we're deep into the mind of Bert Kreischer. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Bert admits out loud that the transactional nature of telling jokes to strangers on stage for a laugh is
Lake's
worth
gotta be
more
this
to
way.
him than anything else in this world, including his family.
There is a part of me that I'm doing because I'm to fix something. For whatever, I don't know what it is, and I've never been able to put my finger on it. The equation or the transaction is of me writing a joke and then delivering it.
Yeah.
And then them liking it. I will ignore Duncan. I will ignore everything on the outside to make sure that transaction happens. Meaning, and I know my daughter's listening. I will tell a joke about my kid. Times they've said, please don't tell that joke.
Yeah.
But I told them a couple times to see if it worked. They're probably not going to like it.
Right.
And then that transaction is the most important thing. How much of life is performative? And when you choose not to be performative, how can you live a life? Like, does that make sense?
What is it? How can you not be performative? What does not performative look like?
It is following your inner instinct on everything and never thinking about anyone.
You're being performative. If you really think about it, you're performing for yourself. You're not performing for anyone else in the sense that, yeah, someone might observe you and laugh or something like that, but you don't know. It could be a fake laugh. You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know, like, they might be flickering in and out of awareness. You just have no idea what's going on. So you're performing for yourself. A lot of confidence. Love this communication. You get that love because the environment was flowing with love. So they had to, like, be loved.
Response to a ton of traumas that I didn't enjoy, and now I'm just deflecting. Everything about me is simply reacting to these things that happen as a kid. As you said that, I'm gonna tell you what exactly I was thinking.
Just a hot tip into the weeds here. If you're an employee of YMH Studios and you're wondering why Bert's numbers are tanking so hard, it's because when you guys book an interesting guest like Duncan Trussell, the guest ends up interviewing Bert, not the other way around. The guy simply cannot stop talking about himself. Bert is Bert's favorite subject, and it's not even an interview at this point. It's a full-blown therapy session. It was pretty much the same thing in his last episode with Sebastian Maniscalco, where Bert asked Sebastian questions and then proceeded to answer them about himself as soon as his guest got a turn. Like I said before, though, you might think Bert's about to get deep here, but he's not. This is surface level shit, and the worst part is he's with a wife, listening to Bruce in Mexican listening to the show, and 2 daughters who are in college. So just take a wild guess what Bert's epiphany is about.
From 8th grade until 28 years old, for that period of time, never once did I ever hear a group of girls that I was friends with say, do you know who we should set up Courtney with? Bert. They always said a different name. Always. My whole life. Yeah. I always was like, I'm right here. And as you were saying this, I was like, how many times did I become the life of the party, or be a little louder, or smile a little. Hey, I'm not affected by any of that. But it really totally affected me. Hurt me.
That's crazy to imagine. You were like one bloat court case away from becoming this incredible comedian. One like late night bloat, and we wouldn't have a Burt Kreischer. You'd be, who knows?
I would have gotten what I needed. Am I really me? Am I really me? Or am I a reaction to all the things that I remember? Oh my God, this is getting like, this is too deep for me. I'm not smart.
I don't believe you. I think you're a very deep person.
Yeah, but not like you. I wish I knew.
I think.
Duncan Trussell sitting there pissing in Bert's pocket is hard to watch. But let's clarify one thing up front here. Bert is not the life of the party. He's a straight up fucking clown. Sure, he was a party animal 30 years ago, but now he's like the washed up rock star still touring their greatest hits, except he's only got one hit, which never really made sense in the first place. Imagine being his wife and daughters though, and listening to him justify all the trauma he's put them through because he didn't get enough attention from girls in his 20s. That is such a crazy thing to say in any context other than in therapy, and even then it's still questionable. Imagine having tens of millions of dollars, a wife, 2 daughters, almost no regular commitments, and still only being able to find happiness in entertaining strangers. All because he was an incel. It finally makes sense to me who Bert's audience is.
Talking to Christina, we're talking about, cancer. She was like, it's crazy how little you give up about anything.
That's true.
Once you realize, I may not have, I have tomorrow, but that's not.
It's incredible. It's like, hey man, you're about to overdraw your life account, and it's.
Well, yeah, what the am I doing? Like, you're right.
Fuck. There we go.
I have in my head a number that I go, honestly, that.
Yeah, sure.
77? I'll definitely hit 77.
Right.
My dad's 77. I'll make 77.
Sure.
What if there was an ad? Like, what if Whoop could predict, and then Whoop's like, oh, give you a heads up. You slept great last night, but you got 6 months left. And you're getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. There's nothing you can change. You can't change it. And you were like, am I doing what I'm meant to do?
Yeah.
I think I'm doing what I'm meant to do. Whatever trauma that happened that makes me love that transaction more than the things that affect of telling people a joke and making people laugh. That is, in fact, my calling. I should be grateful for all the effects that happened to me to steer me in that way. I should be grateful that no one ever wanted to suck my...
Yeah. Of course. I mean, everyone owes a great debt of gratitude to those that didn't suck their...
And it's just perspective.
Hang on. Did Bert just say he thinks he'll be for another 25 years? The guy is actively trying to die prematurely. He weighs over 300 pounds, he's on diabetes meds, high blood pressure and cholesterol too. He refuses to wear a CPAP machine for his sleep apnea, and he takes recreational steroids because Joe Rogan said it's cool. Oh, and he's a full-blown alcoholic with one of the worst diets I've ever seen. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to mock him for being unhealthy, but when you brag about being a complete slob and then preach about how healthy you are and how you'll easily live into your late 70s, something doesn't add up, you know? And this is where it really starts to get dark, because behind Bert's delusions and undiagnosed childhood traumas, there's a lonely middle-aged man consuming everything in his immediate vicinity, whether it's attention, alcohol, or pizza. He genuinely believes he's outsmarting mortality through toxic positivity and delusions of grandeur. Like, he's convinced that if he laughs hard enough, drinks often enough and keeps telling the machine story on repeat, he'll cheat death through sheer personality. And you can literally hear Duncan trying to guide him toward a moment of self-awareness, but Bert keeps swerving away from it like a healthy meal. The man has turned denial into a religion. He's like a high priest of self-delusion, taking his shirt off and baptizing himself in porosos while preaching the 12 steps of AA. Bert thinks he can negotiate his own mortality on a podcast. If he keeps channeling positivity into the airwaves, then maybe, just maybe, he'll cheat death by entering the infinite loop of virtual delusion. And while I'd normally finish this video here, we're not quite done yet, because it's time for conversations that never happened with Bert Kreischer.
In the moment, it's you. I like that.
I love my favorite part of being me, strangers. I really like ordering a coffee from Crystal today. I love, there's no performance in it. Crystal, she goes working. And I said, I'm here to work. I go, all we do is work and take care of our kids. And she goes, I know. And I go, for food. You want to do anything else? She goes, make food. I was like, yeah, but at the end of vacation, he's got to go back to work. The only other this is one of the funniest things. One of the funniest things I've ever done, and I'm never going to stop doing it. Every time this happens, I was at a NASCAR event, Coca-Cola 600. I walk out, and the sweet girl, this young kid, probably 14 years old, comes out. He goes, "Holy, Bert Kreischer!" He goes, "Who is she?" And he's with his mom. His mom's probably my age and a little confused, very pretty. And she was like, "Can I get a picture?" And I go, "Yeah." And I go, "You want me to take the place?" Please. And his mom's like, "What's going on?" I'm taking his shirt off. And he goes, "Mom," she goes, "Wait, who are you?" And I go, "I'm Gabe." He looks at me and goes, he knew there was no way he was going to get his mom to believe that I was a comedian who takes his shirt off. It was too much. And he goes, now I just got to tell my mom I watched Gabe. Real cool, dude. Real cool. The way he said it. Real cool, dude.
That's right, because clearly that kid couldn't just pull his phone out, Google Bert Kreischer, and showed his mom that the fat dude who took his shirt off is a best-selling comedian. Bert really didn't think that one through, huh? Meanwhile, his producers were literally trying to wrap up the podcast, while Bert kept telling stories about people recognizing him from 5 years ago. The funniest part about comedians like Bert telling stories like this is just how completely out of touch with the working class they are. The girl working at the coffee shop says she'd love a vacation, and Bert says back to her, yeah, but what's the point? You'll have to come back to work anyway. Like, what the fuck is that? This is coming from a guy who has literally never worked a day in his life. His whole life is a fucking vacation, yet he's acting like he's balls deep in the daily grind too, just like us. That's the thing about our boy Bert. He spent so long pretending to be relatable that he's forgotten what actual relatability looks like. He still thinks every story about him getting recognized at a coffee shop or drunkenly bonding with an Uber driver is proof that he's just one of the guys. When the reality is, it's the exact opposite. It's parasocial delusion.
What's that noise?
He's trapped in the feedback loop of fame and fantasy, confused for connection. He's the comedian equivalent of politicians kissing babies for the cameras. Every interaction becomes content, and then he tries to convert everything into a bit. Now, when the cameras are finally turned off, Anne goes up to her room to spend the night with Bert. Bert's existential crisis is about the quiet moments in between. The ones where nobody's watching, nobody's laughing, and there's no clapping crowd to drown up and down. That's where it hits him. All the money, the fame, the podcasts, the constant search for endless validation, none of it brought him peace. He's still chasing the same high he's been chasing since his 20s, only now the hangovers last longer and the laughs are turning into groans. At some point, the party's going to end, and when it does, Bert's going to be the last standing, shirtless under the spotlight, wheezing into the microphone, wondering where everybody went. Maybe then Jesus will tap him on the shoulder and offer him a club.
Oh my god! 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 Holy! Okay. Tom, this is incredible. Tom, this is insane. This is the greatest thing I've ever.
Oh, watching adult footage in virtual reality.
Sucking my. And Tom, I have abs. Oh, now
You don't have to thrust. Just watch.
It's kind of cool. I'm on the same timing he is.
That hurts, you know. Seemed like you really wanted to talk. How observant, senor. Now, say, you got a smoke? You know, those things will kill you. Oh, well, maybe just untie me then, huh? Joder, not this guy! Who are you? Okay, stop right there!
Sacrificial lamb, you will receive our most sacred
Oh, this is next level.
Pretty cool stuff.
You should bring
body. It begins now.
Oh, what the fuck? Hey, stop it. Hey, Yankee. Got a name?
Leon.
Quiet type, eh? I'm Luis Serra. Guess you, me, picked the wrong spot to vacation, eh? Hey! Stop it! You move, I move. And I'm beat up enough as it is. I can see you're thinking. Bet you've been in spots like this before, huh? I guess you're here looking for someone. One more guess. Maybe some missing señorita?
Young girl? Talk. Now.
All right. See, heard chatter about moving a señorita.
Moving her. Where?
Who knows? But later, saw some men dragging someone to the old church. Hanging with you, not helpful.
Hey, we're not done here!
Later, amigo.
Shit, they took my gear. Condor One to Roost. I've located Baby Eagle. It sounds like she's being kept in some church.
Great. That's good news.
I heard it from this guy I met. Said his name is Luis Serra. There's something fishy about him. I need you to run a background check.
Wilco Condor 1. I'll see what I can find. In the meantime, make your way to that church.
Right. I'm probably due for confession anyway. Condor 1, out.
That requires an intervention. Bert has finally completed his transition from 50-year-old frat boy into the fat, creepy uncle with a heart problem. And the numbers don't lie. His episodes of Two Bears are tanking compared to Tom's. Not to mention the Summer Bears takeover that crushed them both. At first I thought this was just a hangover from Chrissy and Stubby. Now I've realized that this is the new normal for Two Bears, One Cave. It's getting harder and harder to laugh with Bert when the only thing left to laugh at is his desperation. You've probably heard by now that his latest running gag on the podcast is that they're starting an OF page and Bert plans to manage the talent. And then there's the whole VR headset obsession we've been going through that you guys saw in the intro there, plus all this other creepy shit we've been saying and doing lately. I'm going to take you through all the details, but behind the scenes there are a couple of things going on in Bert's personal life that we all predicted. Bert's wife and kids cannot stand him anymore, and it's all starting to fall apart. But speaking of the Riyadh Comedy Festival, if you want to see my full breakdown and commentary on the collapse of comedy, how Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Tom Segura, Andrew Schultz, Tim Dillon, Mark Norman, and a bunch of other comedians all got exposed for being greedy hypocrites, make sure you check out the link in the description to my Patreon, where you'll find a bunch of uncensored exclusive content, including a video I'm working on right now about Theo Von's Crash Out. Also, a quick shout out to all of you who have gone over to my new channel, More Cringe, and subscribed. You guys are the best, and I wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you supporting everything I do. Like I said though, Bert's personal life is starting to fall apart. Finally, his drinking and eating have caught up to him. His wife has had enough.
Our cat lives upstairs.
You never go upstairs?
I don't know. It's an allergy hate up there.
So you just stay in the ground.
I stay on the ground floor. Leanne lives upstairs. I live downstairs. If I just had the upstairs, it would be better because I could keep it the way I had the upstairs for a while. But in our sleeping quarters, I had the upstairs. I had the screening room.
What's the sleeping quarters?
We're in a sleeping quarters. We don't sleep together. Yeah. We're in the front of the sleep. Listening to podcasts. You know,
is the app working or no?
I had the upstairs for a while. I just no girls were gone. I got back. Now they turn on I got 2 comforters, 10 pillows, and I just made myself like a Jabba the Hutt layer. Like just yeah. A jack off whenever I wanted. It's like you're coming upstairs. Yeah, like being in high school.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's awesome. But you put on everyone. I'd like to get those goggles much more.
The VR stuff? It's the best experience. Yeah. The meta one, whatever.
It's $500. How much is it?
$500.
Hey, send Kyle. You'll buy one. I want to try this today.
Yeah, it's really good. So, just to recap, Bert's wife created an allergy haven upstairs with scented candles, essential oils, down pillows covered in cat hair, hyperallergenic mattress covers, all to keep Bert and his reflux snoring the fuck away from her. And can you really blame her? I wouldn't want to wake up next to Bert while he's giving Hendrickson at 3 a.m. Honestly, I don't think Bert and his wife would make her stuff up. It's only a matter of time before we have a fun into that wellness sanctuary every night, while Bert's downstairs crying himself to sleep with another episode of Podcast Cringe, whispering between sobs, it's true. All of it is true. While his wife is getting her back blown out by his personal trainer upstairs. And look, if you think I'm being harsh, just remember, this is all because Bert doesn't believe in CPAP machines. Not because they're uncomfortable, not because they don't work.
because he doesn't believe in them. Like it's fucking astrology or some shit. This is the guy who gets multiple vitamin IVs per week, is on a steady flow of TRT, drinks himself stupid every night and stuffs his face with donuts and burgers, but somehow he thinks that CPAP machines are a conspiracy. This all leads into the VR headset saga. Two middle-aged comedians at the absolute peak of their careers, sitting alone in a studio, egging each other like it's some kind of spiritual bonding exercise. In 2 seconds, Bert bought one of his minions to go down the road and fetch him a headset. But Bert still doesn't understand how VR
I'll be taking these back.
The way he talks about it, he thinks he's about to move into the headset. He genuinely believes what he's watching is real. This has massive, I think the strippers into me there.
Hey, this is the future. Why would you ever date a chick? Why would you ever go out to a bar? Why would you ever do anything when you could just bang friends? I gotta try jerking off.
Well, not for real. It's virtual.
It feels real.
It feels real.
It feels real.
Well, you probably get.
You know it now. Hang on, let me have a stop.
Over here, stranger.
Dude, I'm ready for a fucking robot.
Who's that?
Yeah, they're available, man. You can afford it. You should.
Dude, you can design it at $3,000. Should we make one? Should we make one and can bring it?
Let's do something.
Okay.
Would it be creepy if we made them and we made them look like people we know?
Yeah, that'd be super creepy.
And you're like, Sarah John, I come over to my house. I want to be my robot chick. She's like, wow.
This is a really good idea for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is.
Shout out to Sarah T.
That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Thrilled. Was that your first time
It's
watching?
my first time. I've held off all week. I've seen it, and it's just like you're watching that interactive one is crazy.
That's really crazy.
Yeah. I would like that I've always said this for a long time, but I'd like that for a podcast where you can put on the VR goggles and sit here like you're just sitting with us talking to us.
That'd be fun.
Okay.
I got something new for you.
Jeez, Bert, it's hard enough watching the podcast through my phone. The last thing I want to do is feel like I'm actually there in the room.
I'll buy
The episodes of Two Bears with Bert get the lowest views, so his solution is to make a more immersive experience. Even his wife can't stand him anymore. Come on, buddy, get with the program. It's almost over.
A deal
I mean,
well
now
struck.
he's even getting trolled by OF models. If you're out of the loop, and honestly, who could blame you, Bert came up with the idea in their first episode back from the summer break to start his own OF page and
Your
manage
valuables
models that he
won't
can
do you
control
much
and
good
tell
in the
them what
grave.
to do. You know, because comedian. But unfortunately,
What's
they
that?
don't seem to be
How
taken
have we procured
seriously.
these curiosities?
More dimensional than just a simple OF. I'd be open
Life
to
needs
any
care
sharing
every once in a
procedures I
while.
want, sharing
Could be
solutions
the
from my
difference
past,
between
etc.,
life
etc.
and death.
I think I'd come in more like the Tom of
Why
OF,
not
where
try
I
your
enjoy
hand
the
at a new
experience
gun,
as opposed to
stranger?
being
Might
driven by
save
fame
your life.
and attention like Bert. Okay.
Well, that's Bert.
She's attractive. Are you seeing?
No, I'm getting stuck on that last sentence.
Oh.
A well-tuned weapon can make up for a lack of skill, friend.
Well, she's not. She's not great. I mean, it was playful.
A bit more space never hurt anyone. Perfect size for you, stranger. Well then, what can I do you?
All right. Is there another one we need to see?
My back is
Set
killing me.
eye of OF
Years
page,
haven't been
please,
kind
Bert.
to
You
us.
just started to use.
Well, I think we gotta readdress our friend's relationship with us.
Please pet me, Bert. It's just for you, bro.
God, he's got great.
Pretty crazy.
There's that awkward moment when Bert realizes in real time that he's being trolled by his fans. And finally he says, we've got to readdress our fans' relationship with us. And that right there is the problem. Bert still thinks people look up to him. He doesn't realize the comments and DMs hyping him up aren't genuine support, they're being ironic. These people aren't laughing with him anymore, they're laughing at him. And now the models he wants to exploit for content are giving him the same treatment, mocking him to his face while he's too dumb and desperate to notice. This is the guy who calls a US comedy tour with 2 shows in Canada a world tour. I wish just once he'd do a full tour without hiring any of his buddies and just use local openers at every show. No tour bus, just straight up stand-up comedy with no frills. But at least Bert has a reputation for being a good father. That's one thing that no one can take away from him, right? Bert's always been there for his girls and put them first, even before himself and his illustrious comedy career.
If I focus my energy on something, whatever it is, I can get better at stuff. I'll start off sucky, but yeah, keep working at it, and eventually you get some people.
Welcome. Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger. All my wares are in tip-top shape, I assure you. Next time, then.
There's gotta be something biological though that makes a man not like you have the pride. Bert Kreischer, I just talked about like you guys have the pride in your children. Hardcore. Like as soon as I met you, showed me a photo of your dog. You know what I mean? Like, but I do feel like there are a lot of men where like that is not my responsibility.
Welcome.
It's birthday. He's the type of guy who doesn't drink the night before his daughter's softball game so he can be up bright and early to drive her there and cheer her on. Bert's the type of guy who buys his wife and daughter's Christmas presents.
Thank you. A deal well struck. Thank you. A deal well struck. Why not try your hand at a new gun, stranger? Where you gonna put this? Your pocket? Wish your enemies sweet dreams from afar, with a bullet straight through their heads. Go on, take this as well, free of charge. You're a man of good taste. Good as new. If you want a fighting chance out there, you best tune up your kit. There you are, as you wished. Knife needs care every once in a while. Could be the difference between life and death. This kind of work is about finesse, stranger. Little bit goes a long way. You'll see. Oh, but thank you. Your weapons are in good hands, mate. I'll see you right.